So thanks guys for joining today's episode of The Journey. The Journey is essentially all about looking at the journeys of successful and inspirational people such as yourselves. The reason why we want to do that is because I believe representation is a powerful tool in inspiring the next generation of people. So the whole point of this conversation really is just to find out a bit more about you guys, what you've done, lessons learned along the way, and any tips for people. So quite simple. I guess I'll probably start with Priscilla. You are a technical product manager for a global streaming company, because I'm not mentioning any names, just in case. Gotta play these ones quite safe. Why don't you actually tell us a bit more about what a technical product manager does, or what you do?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm a technical product manager. Within my role, it's really about understanding business requirements, understanding what the business needs are, what the business vision is. I think understanding firstly the business requirements and what their needs are helps us build out our product in terms of whether there's new features or new little snazzy things that we need to add to the application. I think knowing the business vision on the other side helps with the prioritization. So I work with two teams. I manage both their roadmaps and just make sure that anything that is important is prioritized first. And I think that in summary is my role. So requirement side, so making sure that the team have what they need to progress with their building. So I work with two development teams, and the other side, which is the vision side, and making sure that everything's prioritized for them correctly so that they can build things in the most efficient timelines.
How many females are in your role right now, especially in your company?
In the technical product manager role, I think I'm the only one in my company at the moment.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. I think even in our company, there's almost like a progression to this role. So you can go from like a business analyst or product owner or QA tester into the product manager role. And even in those roles, I think the number of women is quite few. But I think that's kind of what we see in tech at the moment anyway. It is definitely changing. That narrative of it being very male dominated is changing a lot, which I think is fantastic. It's taking its time a little bit, but we're getting there.
Yeah, and I guess we're gonna unpack that a bit later. But right now, we'll probably head over to Tomide. How do you want to say? Do you want Tomide? Tomide. Okay, we'll keep it original. So you're the co-founder and CEO of CircuitMind. But just so you will give it the grace it deserves, why don't you explain what CircuitMind is, and also try and paint a picture of how big it is, like the problem that you're trying to solve right now.
The core challenge we're tackling is picture the next 10 years. In 10 years' time, we want to allow a 15-year-old girl in the north of Togo to be able to sit at a computer, design the mission computer for a next generation spaceship, and have it shipped to her the next day via Amazon Prime. If a group of 10 people were to try to accomplish building a mission computer right now, it might take them 6 months and £5 million, right? So that's the future. That's the transition we want to make. 6 months, 5-10 guys who went to uni for 5 years and we're working as electronics engineers for 20 years, doing something in 6 months versus a 15-year-old girl doing it in 20 seconds. So, having said that, the idea is we're trying to build software that will transform the way the world builds complex hardware.
It's definitely more than cool. I think it embodies what the true nature of someone with an entrepreneurial spirit is. It's innovating and it's trying to change a whole market landscape. You're not just trying to do business right. You're trying to change how things are done, and you're trying to make things. Is it correct? Trying to make it more accessible?
100%. That's so this thing has compounding value, right? It will work to make things more accessible. It would work to make people do things quicker. It would work to make do things more build more circuits more optimally. So there's loads and loads of value there. But one of the values definitely is more people will be able to do build hardware.
Technical product manager. I'm sure a lot of people call you a project manager at times.
Yeah.
Technical product manager. Where would you describe the starting point of your journey to be?
So I think, Rohan, you're very familiar with me anyway, but I started as an apprentice software developer in Sky. So I was working there. I'm happy to say that, I don't really mind. I started as a software developer, and I found that I think having that technical background and that grounding within technology really helped me in the different moves that I made. So I went from the software developer role to the analyst role, and as an analyst, as a business analyst, it was quite focused more on the customer requirements. But then joining where I am now and moving to the technical analyst role, I moved more to the back-end technology and understanding the nitty-gritty as much as possible of what our microservices need to run, or what the customer needs to see in order for these things to work the way they want it to, if that makes sense. So I think having that grounding there kind of helped me for where I am now. And I think I was a software developer for literally like 2 years, but that 2 years, I know in developer years, there's probably nothing in some cases, but I learned so much then that I'm still using now, like even just reading little lines of code or things just to make sure that things are the right way that we expect them to be. Those have really helped me. So I think it is, I do agree with you in terms of looking at the foundation to where you are now. I think that kind of really answers it. Do you think?
No, it answers it, right? Because another thing to unpack there is the fact you said you did an apprenticeship, right? And especially in the season we are now, where a lot of people are quite unsure about what options they have ahead of them, apprenticeships are coming more to the forefront, and it's actually becoming more of a norm, right? So I guess probably like just for a minute or two, how, like, I don't know, sell apprenticeships.
Ooh. Okay. So for me, I found the apprenticeship to be the most beneficial thing. I actually had the option to go to uni at the same time as going for the apprenticeship. So it's not that I only had that option. I really did have the two in front of me, and I chose the apprenticeship. I chose the apprenticeship mainly because, one, I'm really a hands-on learner. I like to be practical with my learning. I like to really immerse myself, and I found that I would get that from the apprenticeship, whereas not knocking it at all because I still went to uni, but I found that would really help me more than the theory based at the time. And I think I went to uni for the theory eventually, but for the apprenticeship, it gave me that experience on the job. It also paid me. And I think one thing that maybe it's just me, but it was really on my heart that I really wanted to try and help out my parents as much as I could at home. And that allowed me to be at home. It allowed me to contribute towards bills. It allowed me to contribute towards my family life, whilst still learning, still getting my certifications and qualifications and having a job. And it's not that it was only 2 years of the apprenticeship and then after that you have to go and find somewhere else to work. They kept me on. I stayed at Sky for another maybe 4 or 5 years after my apprenticeship finished. So those kind of things, and the progression, the way that you can jump up the ladder of employment, I think is really good. In the space of that time, I think I had like five pay rises or something like that every year. That's right. So then I had 2 promotions. So I moved from the apprentice software developer to the apprentice analyst to a business analyst to a technical analyst. So like that you see how you can just move from role to role, but it's because they trust that you've got the understanding of their code bases, of their systems, of how the company culture is. You've kind of immersed yourself straight off in that. And so I can't sell apprenticeships enough. I don't know university at all, but I love apprenticeships. Yeah.
So I'll probably move over to Tomide now. Same question, like, where would you say the start of your journey was? And I guess we can talk about venture capital a little bit right now, but you've done something that most people don't do that much, and it's go and raise capital, right? And what people don't understand, I was talking about it with my wife today, is VC is behind like the Facebooks, the Twitters, Spotify. Historically, not just Black people, but people of diverse ethnic backgrounds haven't always had those connections to access funds that way. So when someone such as yourself comes and says, I've raised VC money to challenge $1 billion market that still has room to be tapped into, it's a very, very big thing. So if that's where you are now, where would you say the beginning of that journey really started?
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess the first thing that I would say is that VC money shouldn't be a goal. The most important thing is, are you creating something that is impactful to or transformational in the world and creates value for some individual people? This particular startup journey for me started when I left BAE Systems, where I was building high integrity augmented reality display systems for jet fighter pilots. Saw the problem with building hardware. It took us almost 4 years to build one piece of hardware. It was a team of 20, and we spent like double-digit millions on the project. And I saw this and I said, look, there's got to be a better way, and I left. This is a shameless plug, but I would say one of the things that introduced me to the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, is a company, an accelerator called Entrepreneur First. And essentially what they do is they get 100 brilliant, ambitious people in the room. You see a lot of PhDs, you see a lot of people like Priscilla who've gone through like a whole company and gone through many different stages and have like a lot of domain expertise. And you just see that this mix of people from different backgrounds, different perspectives, wanting to solve big problems and not shying away from it. And then, just knuckling down and trying to work together to see if they can find something. That's where I found my co-founder, Priscilla, who's got 2 masters and a PhD in algorithm design from ETH. And we were just searching for different problems that mean a lot to us and searching for how to solve them. And, we came up with the idea of Circuit Mind and kind of introduced the idea to the world.
I love what you said, because the headliners are quite great. I've raised X amount, whatever. But at the end of the day, the money it's not the be all end all, right? Yeah, we're in a time where everyone is celebrating the big raises. I've got this, I've got that. But what they don't also understand is I have to answer to this person. I have to answer to that person now. Not that you have to pay it back, but I'm no longer just responsible to myself right now. Other people now have a stake in what I do as well. So people should be very aware of that reality. This whole thing about being technical, right? Because it scares like the life out of people. But what would you say you really need to be a technical person, like, to really stand out? Because I think people have the right idea where you need to be this person that doesn't leave the room, has no life, and is just always looking at binary code, zeros and ones. Like, is that the case, or is there a completely different picture?
Yeah, I would really love Tomide to add to this as well, just because I feel like his brain on this might be really, really interesting. But I think for me, it's almost an aptitude to learn. It's almost just wanting to learn, as opposed to just waiting for the information to come to you. One thing that I found was that when you go on websites like Netflix, it's as small as thinking, oh, this button doesn't work. Like, it can literally start like that. And it's those kind of things that can shift you into, okay, maybe I can work in technology, but maybe not directly with code. Maybe it's with customer experience or the user journeys, or making sure that if something does go down, for example, now you're on the operations side, you're the one receiving the calls to say, actually, this is not working. Okay, how do I translate this now to the development teams or to the product owner, to the product managers, making sure that they can deal with that. I think it's multifaceted. There's not just one view of technology.
Well, Tomide, what about you? Like this word technical, which seems to scare so many people. What does it mean to be technical? How hard or how easy is it?
I would go as far as to say that one of the most high leverage activities that you can do, or high leverage things that you can kind of learn, is writing software. That it's just that important. Even if it's difficult, just go and try to do it. Like the way I look at it is, everyone, if you want to create the most value in the world and for yourself, you have to focus a lot of your energy on high leverage activities. And the one way that you can do that to a huge scale right now is writing software. You write one app and you could create $1 billion company. It's never happened before. Like the units of production have always been like labor, capital, land. All those things require a lot of work to amass. But recently, you can now actually sit down and have this unit of leverage that allows you to, like writing software, that allows you to kind of leverage it almost infinitely. So you got to learn how to do it. And then the second one that you can actually do is kind of like selling, right? So the other thing that you can do is kind of selling. Everybody should try to learn how to sell, because like the internet has just made selling more high leverage. Before, if you want to sell something, you go door to door, right? Or you put something in the newspaper. Right now, you just put something in your blog, and it could go viral, etc., etc. So learn how to write software and learn how to sell. No matter how hard you think it is, just go and try to do it, because that's what's going to create like the highest value in the world, like from now.
I know how much of a mystery this whole idea of being technical is to people, and you guys have sat here and really debunked a lot of things and made it even seem more accessible for someone very young to just pick it up and start doing it, right? And I think that's such a great thing. More powerful than you guys probably can see right now, but definitely is. So I really thank you for your time on this. And yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
The other thing you have to bear in mind is you have to take everything I've said with a mountain of salt, okay? Because I'm still learning, and I'm just saying things that I think are true. As I've seen through the startup journey, a lot of things you think are true are just false. The most important thing is to be open to interrogating those things and be self-aware.